back with Baz. You are listening to Blues on the Hill. This is the Oz Blues Hour. That was Sidewinder from Matty T Wall. Western Australian blues rock and up-and-comer Matty T Wall is stoked to announce the release of his new album Sidewinder, a 12-track tour de force through classic soul, screaming blues, and displays more of the slick guitar work that is seen him lauded worldwide as one of the best things coming out of the Aussie scene in a long while. It is our pleasure to have Matty and the band in the studio. Matty, welcome back to Blues on the Hill.
Hey, how you going?
I'm going well, mate. Welcome back to Melbourne and Victoria, the Victorian leg of the tour. Congrats on this album, mate. It is wonderful. You must be wrapped.
Yeah, actually, well, I suppose, you know, going from the first album, Blue Skies, in 2016, I wanted to really step it up, really step up the sound, and also a little bit like step up the intensity as well. Because when we play live, we are quite intense, and the first album that didn't really come through, but I wanted this album for that to come through, and it certainly has. And working with Bob Clearmountain was, you know, an extra bonus, which is
yeah, incredible.
Is
Tell us about that connection. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I suppose mixing a record is probably one of the most important things after laying down the tracks. You know, laying down the instruments. That's obviously the most important in the songwriting, obviously. But mixing a record can drastically change what it sounds like, and so a mixing engineer is very important. So I thought, well, what could I do differently on this next album? Because I've got to step it up a bit. And crazy me, I thought, okay, who's the best mixing engineer of all time? Bob Clearmountain. All right, I'm going to try this on. And
So right. you can only ask the question.
Exactly. And I got hold of Bob's agent. I got hold of her email address, and I sent her an email, you know, asking cheekily.
Why not?
And yeah, exactly. And 2 days later, I got an email back from her saying, Bob's had a listen to your songs and he'd really like to work on this album with you.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Fantastic.
Still can't quite believe it.
Sidewinder.
Yeah.
What's behind that?
The title or the song itself? The title?
Yeah,
Well,
just
it's got, there's actually a few interweaving meanings behind it. So
Okay.
Sidewinder for me just came through my head as, oh, that'd be cool to name something Sidewinder. First thing I think of, because I used to, when I was a little kid, you know, I was into Top Gun and all that sort of thing, and I was into making planes. Sidewinder for me is like missile, you know, explosive and all that sort of thing, fast moving, right? And then I started to look more into it. A Sidewinder is a type of snake in the US, you know, type of rattlesnake. I was born in the year of the snake.
Oh, so there you go. There's a connection.
There's a connection. And I went even further. The first 3 songs start with the letter S.
There you go.
And it ends in Mississippi, the last song as well. So there's some interesting things. Sidewinder, the song itself, is more about a different meaning of Sidewinder in the US, which can mean someone who's deceitful.
Yeah.
And that's more about, you know, like politicians and businessmen and whatever that rip people off for power and all that sort of thing. So it has a lot of meanings. But firstly, in my mind, you know, straight to the point, powerful and explosive.
The artwork's awesome on the album too. That great t-shirt material. Is it on a t-shirt?
It is on a t-shirt, so you'll be able to grab one of those at our gigs.
Now, as you would have heard on that last track, this is not just your normal pub rock blues. There is a lot going on with this album. There is musically heaps going on. Tell us what's going on, Matty. Tell us all about the people on this album, because you got a big cast.
Yeah, there's some very talented people on this album. So, like I said before, so Bob Clearmountain mixed this. It was mastered by Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound. I think he mastered Black and Blue by Gary Clark Jr. as well. He's mixed lots of stuff. As far as who played on this album, Rick Whittle on the drums, who's been one of the top drummers in Perth for a long time. Really added a big dimension to the sound, you know, with the way that he plays and the type of kits and tones he had access to. You know, it was really great. Stephen Walker on the bass guitar, who played on Blue Skies, and he's been with me for a few years now. So it's
and this has been your touring band too, just your trio here. How you
That's right.
On
so
the road.
So I like touring with a band because you can be tight and explosive and just really go for it. One of my favourite organ keyboard players from Perth, Gordon Cant. He's Swiss. Now I've got to mention the female backing vocalist Deli Rowe from Portland in the States. I worked with her on Blue Skies, and how that came about, I wanted a certain sort of sound in backing vocalists, and I went through pages and pages of samples of girls in the States to find who had that tone, and she has just got this absolutely brilliant vocal tone. And last but not least, I'd say Jonas Peterson, who did all the string arrangements.
Yeah,
which was a very new thing.
Yeah, don't often hear a lot of strings on it, but you've worked it in nicely.
So yeah, I wanted to see what I could do with strings on this thing, step it up a notch. And Jonas has worked with Pixar in the US, doing film scores. So he
Can't get better than that. He knows where it fits.
He does, and he pretty much came up with the arrangements and nailed them first time.
Awesome.
And I'm particularly fond of the coda for Change Is Going to Come.
Yeah.
So I requested a coda there, and he came up with something brilliant.
We might spin that one next, but you have got the band in the studio. We have got the instruments here. We might as well do something live because, we can't let you go without doing something live. So what do you want to do?
Oh, I think we'll just do a fun little cover.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Better look out now, cause Uncle Matty's got something for me. Let me tell you what it is. I'm your ice cream man, stop and let him pass me by. Oh my, I'm your ice cream man, stop and let him pass me by. See now all my flavors guaranteed to satisfy. You got 25 banana, Dixie cups, all flavors and push-ups. I'm your ice cream man, stop and let him pass me by. All my flavors guaranteed to satisfy. But I'm easily passed by, just about never fly. I never stop, I'm easily passed by, just about never fly. If you let me go you one time, you'll be my regular stop, yeah. Flavors are guaranteed to satisfy.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome stuff. Matty T Wall Band live at Blues on the Hill.
Sure, someone's gonna start a fight. Put on your high heel sneakers. Put that wicket on your head. Put on your high heel sneakers. Put that wicket on your head. Pretty sure, baby. Pretty sure you're gonna knock him dead. Well, I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. Well, I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me. Bring your boxing gloves. Pretty sure someone's gonna start a fight.
Oh yeah, so funky you can smell it. Awesome stuff. Love that.
Thank you.
Great groove. Matty T Wall Band, alright.